take a quick look at the two-game NHL slate on Draftkings tonight. We've got the Rangers and the Hurricanes, and then Edmonton and Vancouver. Looking at the Today's Games tab and our targetability ratings, Edmonton comes in at the top of the list with a targetability of 20.22, and then our other three teams are kind of jumbled together. Second is Carolina at 15.9. Then we have Vancouver at 14.3, and the Rangers at 12.8. We have Pickard and Shelovs confirmed. Let's check. Hang on, let me check Money Puck, see if they have anything on. Okay, Shesterkin and Anderson. So we have our four expected goalies going tonight: Shesterkin, Anderson, Pickard, and Shelovs. Just a small thing to note: Pickard's playoff stats are based on essentially one game, so those are certainly a little less predictive than Shesterkin, Anderson, and Shelovs, who have a larger body of work in the playoffs. Just something to keep in mind if you're planning on targeting Vancouver tonight. Speaking of our targets, so the order of the stacks: Edmonton 2, and then Carolina 1, Vancouver 1, and the Rangers 2. This is going just based off of the four targetabilities from the Today's Games tab. I do think Edmonton's in the best spot, but after that, those other three teams are very similar, and there's not a whole lot differentiating Carolina, Vancouver, and the Rangers. There are a couple things I want to point out about specifically Vancouver and the Rangers. So Vancouver shuffled up their top line here. So it's Höglander, Lindholm, and Pettersson. Lindholm was playing on line 3, Pettersson was on line 2, and this Pius Suter, JT Miller, Brock Besser line was their top line. Morning Skate has a couple of changes here. So the nice thing about Lindholm moving to the top line, Lindholm's been playing really well, and now he has not just top line minutes, but he has access to Pettersson both at even strength and on the top power play. So before, if you try to play Elias Pettersson's line, he had no correlation with anybody on the power play. Now you can easily either mini stack with just Lindholm and Pettersson. You can go Lindholm, Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, or you can go Lindholm, Pettersson, and if you need to save money, you go to Höglander, but you can get power play correlation, and they're both really cheap. So I think Pettersson and Lindholm are like in the 5K range, both of them. So you can get top line, top power play for about 10K combined for those two skaters. And again, Lindholm's been playing really well. Pettersson, not so much, but he is really talented and could easily have a 3-point game any night. So Lindholm and Pettersson, something to consider either as a two-man stack or to full stack Vancouver tonight. For the Rangers, their lines have not been shaken up, but I just want to point out how good New York 2 has been over their last 5 games. So if we look here, they all have 6 points. Each of them have 6 points over the last 5 games, which I don't have to tell you how awesome that is. But in addition to recording points, they're also putting pucks on net. Panarin has 17 shots plus blocks. Trocheck has 24 shots plus blocks, and Lafreniere has 18. And you do get power play correlation with a couple of them. Panarin and Trocheck play on the top line, whereas Lafreniere plays by himself on line 2. But there's nothing wrong with going a full 3-man stack of Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere. You can even throw a fourth line or a fourth skater in there. Usually I would want to use either Fox for the line 1 or power play 1 correlation, or you could use Gustafsson for the line 2 correlation to save money. Obviously, I prefer Fox. The Panarin is just about 8K, so he's pricey. Trocheck, I think, is mid 6K, and Lafreniere is around 5K. So not crazy expensive to get that full 3-man New York Rangers 2 stack that has been producing really well. So I like that a lot tonight too. But my favorite play on the entire slate is going to be Leon Draisaitl, who is playing on Edmonton 2 again after bumping up to line 1 with McDavid. Actually, he was on line 1, and then they swapped him with Nuge. And Draisaitl staying on line 2 now with Holloway and Evander Kane. The reason I like Draisaitl is because Edmonton's on the road. Draisaitl's been absolutely crushing it the last 5. 24 shots plus blocks, 12 points in his last 5 games. The dude has been insane. And then he also obviously has top power play minutes too with all the stars of Edmonton. So you can either play Draisaitl as a one-off, and I have this listed as the top note in my strategy section. I'm playing Draisaitl tonight. The only question is in what capacity. You can play him as a one-off. You can go with a full line 2-stack, which is pretty cheap with Kane and Holloway. Or you can do any number of power play 1-stacks. You can use 2, 3, 4, even all 5, although I don't think you have the salary for that. But theoretically, any number of the Edmonton power play 1 would be totally fine. And then in my next note, I think that your lineup kind of starts with, in my opinion, my lineup's going to start with the decision on how I'm using Draisaitl. If I'm going to one-off him, I have no problem using Shilovs in goal against him. But if I want to stack Edmonton too, I'd rather just play Pickard, who's cheaper anyway. And that's kind of, once I decide that, that will help me round out the rest of my lineup. So if I'm going to stack Edmonton, stack around Draisaitl, play Pickard in that, and then grab Carolina 1 and or New York 2. And then I can maybe fill in with a couple of extra skaters, and they can be from Vancouver. It's totally fine to play skaters against your goalie on a 2-game slate. You can even have full stacks against your goalie. Typically, I don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on my stacks against my goalie. There are obviously exceptions, but do not be afraid to play skaters going against your goalie on a 2-game slate like tonight. And then my final note in the strategy section is that the Rangers-Hurricane series has tightened up lately the last couple games. Neither team has been putting as many pucks on net, but they've still been scoring goals, which has made Shesterkin and Anderson, or Kochetkov for that one game, not great targets for fantasy. They are also more expensive than Shilovs and Pickard. So those are kind of the reasons why I prefer playing Shilovs or Pickard from that second game over Shesterkin or Anderson from that first game. And then we have a decent amount of relatively cheap shot blocking defensemen we can go to. Vancouver has 4 that I think have a decent chance of getting the blocks bonus. We have Cole, Zadorov, Hronek, and Myers. And Zadorov is my favorite because of his additional production. And we mentioned this last time. It's not going to continue. He's not going to be a point-per-game player. But he does have 5 points, 11 shots, and 10 blocks in his last 5 games, skating 20 minutes a night at 3,500. So he still remains a really good value play that's contributing across the board. So I like Zadorov. For the Rangers, we get a cheap Braden Schneider at 2,900. He's been blocking a lot of shots. He has 12 blocks in his last 5 games. So he's at 2 point something, almost 3 blocks a game, and that 3 block bonus is what we're looking for. And he's sub 3K. And if you've been watching, you know I always add Jacob Trouba here. He's not cheap, but he blocks a ton of shots. And he's still blocking a ton of shots, but he's 5K now. I know last time he was 4,900, but something about that 5,000 threshold. I can't bring myself to put him on the cheap shot blocking defenseman list, but I also can't go without talking about him when he has just been so steady. Even scored a goal last game. So Trouba at 5K, totally fine if you have 5K, but if you're stacking around Edmonton, you probably won't. And then for Carolina, you can go to Jacob Slavin on that top defensive pairing for 3,700. Or you can go Jalen Chatfield's also been blocking a lot of shots lately, and he's only 2,700. So if we go to Carolina's last 5 games, Chatfield's at 6 shots and 10 blocks, which is not bad at all for 2,700. So I've got some guys mid 3Ks all the way down to 2,700 you can round out your lineup with. I did highlight my 3 favorites, which are Zadorov, Schneider, and Slavin. Okay, I think that pretty much covers it for tonight. Again, I'm starting with Draisaitl, deciding if I want to one-off him or stack around him, then going to my goalie, usually or probably either Pickard or Shilovs, and then which side of New York, Carolina do I want, or do I want to game stack that one? And then any of those Vancouver guys. Again, Vancouver 1 is really tempting. Even if you just do a 2-man of Lindholm and Pettersson, it's not expensive, top line, top power play correlation. I think it's totally viable to play Pickard in net and also play Lindholm and Pettersson. Nothing wrong with that at all. So that's going to do it for tonight. If there's anything else you guys want to see, any questions you have, you can leave them in the comments down below. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. And good luck tonight, everybody.